Ty Rushing is the chief political correspondent for Iowa Starting Line. And with a lot of the candidates for president in the state for the state fair and other events, he obviously wants to get there to cover those events and bring the news back to those who count on his reporting. But on Friday, while covering a Ron DeSantis event, he was escorted out by law enforcement. And he claims he was given no explanation. Here's our interview.
If it's security, it wouldn't be, I wouldn't like bring attention to it. When you actually call law enforcement on me to say, hey, I can't come to this event and there's been no communication, you didn't tell me why, there's no explanation. All of a sudden, I pull up to the second of 3 events I plan to cover today. I covered the first one, no issue. And then all of a sudden, I heard sheriff deputies, it's a whole different ballgame.
Wow. And I mean, obviously, when we're reporters covering things like this, we expect easy access to be able to go to the event, whether or not we're asking questions or not, to cover these things. So you weren't given a reason why you couldn't be there. So why do you think that was?
I have no idea, honestly. I mean, they put out a statement later saying it's because I registered 10 minutes at the media. But, I was wearing my press pass the entire time. I had a notepad, 2 phones, 2 pens. And I covered the first of the 3 events with no problem. And I registered the exact same way for the other 7 events that I covered this. So I don't understand why it was all of a sudden an issue yesterday. Again, I was given no explanation. No one's reached out to me. No one said anything to me.
And this is a race that a lot of people nationally are watching and want answers about. So as journalists, when we're told we can't go to these events and get access to these candidates, kind of shine a light on how that impacts voters, because they're not going to be able to hear from these candidates when we're not there.
Well, yeah, I mean, my job is to, share what's happening at the caucuses to our readers, our followers, and, our caucuses for First Nations. So a lot of people kind of count on their coverage. And so, like I said, I've been to a bunch of these events. A lot of people follow along for my tweets. I jokingly used to say, the city council meetings, I don't put doing things for you, tell you about it so that you don't have to. And so, I kind of keep the caucus coverage the same way. You got to be out there at the events talking to people. Because, you don't win the Iowa caucuses by, not being here. You don't. You have to be here. You have to put in that time. You have to put in that work. It's what I would expect. What I would known to be, existent. The entire existence of the Iowa caucuses as they are now. So, obviously, you're trying to protect the country and the Iowa caucuses first. Then you need to have people there who are following you. You need to interact with people. You need to have media who's covering you, interact with people. You need to have speeches. You need to know what kind of policy you would like to implement. I mean, all of this kind of stuff. And the best way to find out about these things is by being there.
And despite what happened on Friday, you're back there today covering this, and there are plenty of candidates that have been there today. So kind of walk people through what their pitch has been to Iowa voters, because Iowa voters, as we know, every election cycle are important.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. So today there's so many candidates that have been fighting after. So I covered President Donald Trump. His big pitch was hey, I'm going to save the country. You want to make America great again. It was, his tagline. He's like, we're going to do that again. Bring me back. That was pretty much it. He had a lot of assertive people on his behalf. Nikki Haley just talked about, her experience in South Carolina and running the state there, and how her accounting background, she can bring that to Washington and help make changes, the funding and the whole thing, things like that. Who else did we see? We saw my good buddy Ron DeSantis, and he talked about fix the economy, run the economy, and comparing Iowa and Florida because of the similar policies both are governors implemented. So that'll be my governor, Kim Reynolds, and him being Ron DeSantis in Florida.
One big theme has been that a lot of Republicans that are there, Trump is still reigning supreme in the party despite all that's happened. So talk about that.
Yes. It's you want it to be a competitive primary because, it's more enjoyable for everyone and, how the Democratic process works. But Trump is absolutely running away. There's just no bones about it. The line to get into the event I went to where we spoke was just, it was around the grandstand. And there was hundreds of people packed in there with me. And there was hundreds more waiting outside just to get a glimpse of him. And he had already made a scene outside of the Iowa court just by showing up. He didn't even flip the courts like most candidates do. He had his surrogates flip the court for him. But he was just there. His presence brought thousands of people, surrounding the court with his stand. I mean, No other candidate has that kind of juice.
And there have been a lot of interesting moments here at the Iowa Fair because obviously this is a big time to really make your pitch to voters. One moment that I saw on social media was Vivek Ramaswamy, who was kind of rising in this race. He was rapping "To Lose Yourself" by Eminem.
I hate that I missed that. I got to the fair maybe 20 minutes after it happened, and I was so sick that I missed that. But yeah, he's an interesting candidate. Like he entered the race with very little name recognition, you know, like, but he's self-funded. He's like, obviously getting better space like that and building his name for reputation now. But one thing that I find interesting about him is that a lot of Trump voters I speak to, like people who are committed to talk to Trump, tell me that if for some reason Trump isn't in the race, Trump can't run, they like him. Like, and I haven't heard that about any other person. Like, I would ask them about DeSantis, and some of them would say, no, thank you. Like, some just, they want to, some people said they think he's way, other people who like, if you him being a rhino, which is a Republican in name only, which, like, I don't believe that's true. But, yeah, man, he's got some steam. He's got a little bit of momentum. Folks seem to like him.
And you've definitely had a great opportunity here to talk with all of these candidates and speak with these candidates. So, what's next for you after this Iowa State Fair?
I mean, basically my calendar is built around the candidates calendar, but the fair doesn't end until the 20th. Tim Scott is going to be Tuesday. We got some New York folks coming in. Yeah, so people announce events, I'll be there. I'm not going to let one little hiccup stop me from doing my job and bringing these people live.